Anxiety is a very common feeling that many of us get when we're practicing or learning a different language, especially if it's from scratch. If you find that you're getting anxiety when learning a different language, then this video is for you. I'm James, puedo hablar español y anche posso parlare italiano. I help people reach a conversational level in a different language. Now, in this video, I'm going to cover 4 topics when it comes to anxiety in the language learning domain. These topics will make you more aware of the feelings that you should expect when learning a different language. They will also give you advice on how to deal with that anxiety and make it lower or as low as it can be. Point number 1, understand that having anxiety is part of the process of learning a different language, especially if you're quite new to language learning and you're giving it a go and you're basic and you're very early on. Anxiety is caused by something that you're not familiar with. So if it's something that's outside of your comfort zone, like having a job interview or starting a new role or starting a new hobby or something, you're going to also get anxiety with that, especially with new social situations and things to expect that you're not used to. It's exactly the same with language learning. So if you understand that you're supposed to get anxiety to an extent because it's your body saying, oh, this is a bit weird, it's a new fear, and your body hasn't accustomed to it yet. However, this will change over time. By understanding that anxiety is part of the process and you should expect it, this should help your mind be at ease a bit more because you know that it's not something that's wrong with you, it's not a weird emotion, it's normal, and other people experience it as well. They're just often not as vocal about it, so you don't hear that they're also having anxiety when practicing a different language. Point number 2, limit your exposure to any language learning activities that you do. Say, for example, one of the activities is practicing with native speakers. You might do that a few times a week on a video call or in person, maybe at a language meetup. If you limit yourself, the time that you do it, and focus that time on other activities which cause you less anxiety, then you'll still be exposing yourself to that level of anxiety, but it'll be less for less time, less intensity. So instead of doing a 2-hour language exchange, for example, or a 2-hour lesson with a native speaker on an afternoon, you could make that half an hour or something, or a few lots of half an hour throughout the week. You're still getting the exposure and the practice, but you're limiting your body so it's not quite as adrenaline filled and it's not quite as anxious for that period of time, which hopefully will make you feel better about your language learning journey. On that note, I've created a free email course on how to practice with native speakers in your target language. It gives you advice on how to find them and also how to make the most of your efforts practicing with them. There's a link in the description below if you're interested. That said, if you get less anxious when you're, say, studying grammar or learning words or on an app that you use or something, or listening to a podcast, then try spending more time doing those things rather than things that make you completely anxious. It's good to push yourself through the anxiety and to challenge yourself. However, understand that it's supposed to be fun at the same time. So if you can get a balance of exposure and having fun at the same time, then that's the perfect combination. The third point is that gradual exposure helps you massively. If, to start with, you have a practice session or you have a language exchange with a native speaker and you're very basic, you might want to start with a 15-minute practice session. You might want to just do 15 minutes in the target language. That in itself can be very, very anxiety inducing and can be quite stressful because even 15 minutes, your mind will be on overdrive, you'll be thinking of what to say, you'll be stuttering, that sort of thing. And if you just do that a few times a week, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, that is absolutely fine to start with. You'll find anyway, more exposure makes it easier and the anxiety reduce over time. So if you gradually increase your exposure from 15 minutes per session to half an hour and half an hour to 45 minutes maybe, then that will be an easy way to deal with the anxiety because you're gradually increasing your exposure to it and you're getting your mind used to it rather than it being a completely new situation. Point number 4 is very important, and I can relate from learning Spanish and Italian, and most recently I'm learning Portuguese, so I can relate a lot. The feeling you experience when you're learning a different language changes from anxiety at the start, because it's new to you and you don't know what you're doing and you're quite basic at it, to excitement and it's more fun later down the line once you realise you're getting better at it. When you're good at something, you enjoy it more and you find it more fun. So any feelings of anxiety or fear are reduced and replaced by positive emotions. And that's the sweet spot for accelerating your language learning process. If you can stay in emotions of like curiosity, excitement, you're enjoying the process, that is a perfect emotion to try and stay in when you're language learning. It's not always possible to be in those emotions, especially at the start, but understand that your anxiety right at the start will gradually decrease and be replaced by positive emotions as you gain more skills and your abilities to speak and communicate in the target language increases. I found that this happened for me with Spanish and more recently Italian. My first few lessons I was so anxious, my heart was beating, I was very stressed about it because it's a new language. I felt like I was really bad at it, and it was quite embarrassing to speak with a native speaker who obviously can speak it fluently, and I'm stuttering, trying to get my words out. And at that point, I didn't really enjoy it. I had to push past that point by gradually exposing myself to more language lessons. And over time, there's a switch when I found I was able to speak, not perfectly, but I was getting better at Italian, and I was having more excitement. I was feeling better after the lesson once that progress was made. So I found that getting better at language reduced my anxiety, and it increased the feelings of fun and excitement that I had from studying Italian. So they are my 4 tips when it comes to managing anxiety when it comes to language learning. It's a difficult feat in itself, language learning, but it can be made easier if you understand what emotions to expect with it and how these emotions will develop over time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and feel free to leave a comment on if you experience any anxiety or any fears when learning a different language. Is it the same for you? If you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.